Alright, we're working on the 2110 here, and some guys wanted to know, how close it would be in here when we started rotating stuff around. And of course, you always check everything, and we have some spots that are close already right here. This is a 40 thousandths feeler gauge. So anyway, we were saying the clearance issue here is pretty tight. It's pretty dark in here. Hans is in the light there. But you can see here we're going to have to clearance it some more. I think we ran into an issue back here on this rod. So I'll go ahead and start swinging this through. Now sometimes I heard somebody say that they have a 2600 cc CB performance motor, and that's impossible with a Type 1 Volkswagen case. You'd have to have a Type 4 because everything is so tight in here. This is an 82 stroke, and you can see how close everything is. And an 86 stroke is a 2332, so you would almost have to have a 90 millimeter stroke crank, which would require a drop cam situation. I mean, usually when you get into that kind of displacement, you have a 101 bore cylinder. So probably don't know what size motor you have. So right here is the one issue, buddy. You can see that. Let's clearance that a little bit. It clears, but not by enough.
Should probably mention that heat makes things expand.
Yep, as Hans said, things are going to grow. So you want to be on the side of caution and make sure you give yourself plenty of room. The only way this camshaft will break is if the crank hits it, and it will instantly snap it. So you want to make sure that you have plenty of clearance and things turn in here. And of course, when you check this, you're going to have the cam in its proper location, and we're going to have contact right here on this back one. You can see it didn't round the journal off enough there when I clearanced it. Sounds like we're getting contact up here on this cam too, huh?
Well, it should be even.
No, on the front where you were talking about?
Oh yeah.
At the same time. So let me stop it. So we're stopped there. We made contact, and the case is no problem. It has plenty of clearance when you buy it. You can see right here, this is another spot we're going to have to cut the cam. Right in here, in this flanged area. I have the 315 right here for demonstration. But you can see how this is radius back. And we're going to have to do the same thing because we're having a little interference there. Our major interference is going to be right back here on this last journal. It is sort of on the bottom here. Got an arrow there.
And you should probably mention that you never want to cut the rod, always cut the cam.
I was just getting ready to say that. You never want to cut the rod, like Hans was getting to say. You can see these rods are already made. The back is clearance to give you extra clearance, but never mess with the integrity of the rod. You can see where the bolt comes through the rod here. There's just not a lot of material left there to mess with the integrity. So you want to always attack the camshaft. And like we've talked about, you can get a smaller base circle. You can turn this down on a lathe. There's a couple different options. And if we would have turned this on a lathe, we wouldn't have had this problem because we would have made the whole base circle smaller. And where I cleared it, we have no problems at all. But it's just on the coming up to where its clearance is the problem. I like that one too. It's pretty tight right there. Right there. That one's not too bad. This one over here. So I'm going to have to take a little more of this journal off here because it looks like it's getting into that. And then a little bit right in there. So you can see that this is why you got to decide what stroke crank you're going to buy. The bigger the crank, the more of this custom work you're going to have to do. And this is the kind of stuff that takes up a lot of the time. You can't just bolt this stuff together. Now when you buy an engine kit from CB Performance, I'm sure the camshaft is already clearance, so you can just assemble your motor. But you still want to check this because you can see how tight things get. And especially if you're going to order anything bigger than a 2276. you're gonna run into issues like this. We could have gone bigger on the bore of this motor and got more displacement, but when you get real big on the bore, you know, it starts messing with the flame travel as far as, you know, optimum flame travel on the cylinder head. Easy Jeezy went to some 88s, and that's the optimum cylinder bore for flame travel, for propagation over the combustion chamber. And the further you get away from that, the more off the tune-up gets. So I wanted to try to stay with a 90.5 bore on this motor, but you pick up some displacement. 94 is pretty much the standard if you're gonna build a motor at home. You can go 101, but you get into some expense when you build a 4-inch bore motor.